Hello, I'm Wendy. Today we're painting snowdrops in watercolour. It's an easy tutorial, very suitable for beginners. This is the drawing that I used, and I've showed it you on the large piece of paper that I drew it on. This piece of paper is 14 inches by 11. You could work this on half that size, 7 inches across by 11 inches tall. It's just that this particular format is very good for filming for YouTube. That's doing the drawing in the middle of a big sheet of paper like this. The drawing of the flowers is about 7 inches tall, so they're larger than life size, and I thought it might be quite nice, well, particularly as a change for me, to do the flowers larger. And I think you'll find it really quite interesting to do that, and it gives the whole finished painting more impact, I think. I started off by masking out the flowers, as usual, with the PBO gum. I apologise for the shadows on the video in parts of this. The sun came out, which I'm not complaining about, but I didn't realise it shining through the window. So this is the PBO masking gum that's going on. Can you see? It's really lovely. It's very thin, and you can paint it thinly as well. As long as it's covering the petals, then you don't need to put it on thickly. And if you put it on thin like this, then you'll find that, I don't know, 5-10 minutes or so, that you'll find that it's dry and that you can work on it. And as you're working with the masking fluid, use a fairly decent brush. I'll give you a link to how to use masking fluid if you want more detail in the description box. Use a fairly decent brush. Keep it rinsed out in washing up liquid to protect it. And as I said, put it on quite thinly. Put it on as if you're actually painting the flower with paint, so that you're doing it very carefully. I switched brushes to an old rigger here that, as I said, I keep clean. I don't let the masking fluid do it a lot of damage. And I masked them out. I'm hedging my bets really, because I wasn't sure at the end whether I'd have the stems light against the background or dark. It would all depend on how the background came out. When the masking fluid was completely dry, then I put a wash behind. I started off by just using water and then went in with some raw sienna. Now, I made the wash area larger than I thought I would need, just to give myself some wriggle room, which was quite nice working on this large sheet. I could do that, but also if you're working on the other dimension sheet, which would be half this, use the whole sheet, and then you can soften the edges of the washes and you can sort of wash them away with water, so you get some nice soft edges around your painting. And as I said, it gives you some wriggle room then if you wanted to mount it. I went in with the raw sienna first, and then I'm dropping in some ultramarine. You could add some darker paint to that ultramarine if you wanted, or if you didn't want it to be too bright. Ultramarine is quite a bright blue, and sometimes I might knock it back with a little bit of burnt sienna or a touch of indigo. What you want to do is to make sure that you put some darker paint, darker tone, around where the flowers are, so that they're going to stand out. And I think it'd be quite nice to leave the white of the paper or a very, very pale wash towards the bottom. That gives some variety, and I think it gives a nice composition. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm trying to blend these colours into each other, and you can move the paper around occasionally so that they do run into each other. And as the paint is drying, then you can add some darker paint to it. As long as you keep everything wet, then you can keep on adding paint and getting the tone that you want. Remember that the watercolour will dry back about 40%, so go a bit darker than you think. I think especially as a beginner, if you're painting this, you probably end up having it a little bit too light. You probably think, I wish I made it a bit darker. So don't be afraid to go in a bit darker at this stage. And I'm just letting it dry a little bit here. I'm showing you the whole wash because I think you'd be interested in this. And then adding some darker. You can see that going back to the pool of colour, adding a bit more, so that you have got some darker tones in there against the flowers. I thought I might sprinkle a little bit of salt on this picture, not too much, but I wasn't that happy with that bottom left-hand side of the wash. Not got it blending that much, not as well as I'd liked, and rather than fiddle around with it, I thought I'd put more salt in that bottom area. See how that worked out. You can see from the photograph I took here that you can see the salt, particularly in that bottom left-hand corner there. It's starting to soak up the moisture, and we'll see what I got on the next one. You can see here I got quite a nice salt effect there. And what I'm doing here is I'm just adjusting the shape of the flower and just making a few little corrections, if you like, with my opaque white. There was very little, I did put that masking on very carefully, and there were very few alterations that I made, but it is useful to use the opaque white to do that. So starting on the flower then, I do some wet into wet work to do a little bit of modelling on some of the shapes, as you'll see. And also I like to get rid of the white and just put on a light yellow that will turn into a green shortly. Mix up a green with the colours that you've got, the ultramarine and the raw sienna. It's a very limited palette, this painting. And then what I like to do is to model, to sort of give some shape, some 3D-ness, if you like, to the ovary there on top of the flower. So you're putting the first colour on, you're putting a darker colour and sort of pulling it over and blending it so that you've got a nice soft edge there. It takes a bit of practice, and you can fiddle around with it at this stage. As long as you keep everything wet, you can pull out, put some more paint in, find a technique that suits you to do this modelling. People tend to do it in different ways, and it's all down to practice. What you don't really want is a very hard edge between the yellow and the green. You want a nice soft edge. And here I'm continuing to add some of the green to the stem. I've got the first coat on already, the yellow, so you could work it wet into wet. If the yellow's dried, you could put the green on and then just put a little bit of water just to blend the colours together. You could just put a darker green down one side of the stem. It's very much up to you and what tone you want to use and how it fits into your picture. If you've got a very, very light background, you might not want to go as dark as me on the stem. If you're really, really dark, you might want a nice contrast with the stem and keep it white. It's up to you. It's your picture in the end. So you adjust the tones of these stems to how you want, and you can always adjust them at the end. Now we're going to separate the petals by tone rather than a pencil line, so all the pencil lines at the end will be rubbed out. And what I'm doing here is something similar to what I did on the ovary on the top of the flower. Is I'm putting some blue shadow to separate the petals, and then I'm washing it away with clean water so that I'm not getting a hard edge. Again, it's up to you to practice and to decide the best way for you to do this. Sometimes you can put the clean water away from the shadow and sort of draw it in there. But as I said, it's up to you. If you feel that once you've done this and you have got some nice soft edges but they're too pale, let the whole thing dry and then repeat the process with a slightly stronger colour, slightly stronger blue, and that will work as well. On the other leaves, the leaves that are sort of not particularly overlapping, you don't need to separate them. I would just suggest a little bit of blue on there, just to give a little bit of shadow. You can see that I needed to separate the ones on the outside from that middle bit of the flower near the bottom of the ovary, and that I did that with the blue, and that seems to be working fine. Don't overdo the blue, because it's this nice contrast of the whites that you need against the background. And the little bud is quite easy, just a little bit of blue, maybe on the right hand side. We seem to have got the light here coming from the left. We're having to make the light up here because this is from our imagination. If you'd actually got a light source on some flowers that you'd got as a still life on a table, it'd be easier because you could see where the shadows were, but we're having to make them up. And this makes a snowdrop, doesn't it? That little bit, that little mark there on the middle of the flower just makes it. I didn't want to do a lot of detailed snowdrop leaves, so just some random quick marks I think work well. This is a picture all about those snowdrop flowers, and I think just a few marks to maybe represent some grasses or something they're growing through works quite nicely. I felt this picture needed a little bit more, so I did a little bit of splattering, a few snowflakes coming down. So this was the final painting, the one that I've demonstrated, and I'll show you a couple more that I did around the same time. This one was sharper, I think. There was the background was darker against the white petals. I think I would have liked a softer edge on the top left where the raw sienna is. I think I would have liked that. But the salt worked quite nicely in the middle, I felt. I've got these really tiny white specks that I quite like. This one was softer. The background blended a bit more to my liking, I think. There's a little bit of splatter on there and a tiny bit of salt as well. I think that one possibly was my favourite. I do hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I do hope that you got lots of information from it that will help you in your own paintings. Remember, you can subscribe, it is free. You can subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything that's coming up in the future. Happy painting and bye for now.